Hey, Raf and Joel here from Digital Autopilot. We've got another idea that we'd like to share with you that you may find helpful in your life, business, family, in some way, from one of our recent favorite books, Atomic Habits by James Clear. So Joel has actually read the full book. I'm still going through it. So Joel has something to share with us on that. Take it away, Joel.
Thanks very much, Raf. Lots of golden nuggets in that book. And I'd like to just share one, in one sense, a really simple concept, but also one that's really powerful and one that maybe some of us don't do as effectively as we could. I've certainly got room for improvement in that area, and I think probably most of us do. So there's one key principle that James Clear shares, which is, he calls it reflect and review. And what he's essentially saying is that if you want to improve any habit, whatever kind of habit it is, it's not enough to just practice it over time. Obviously, practice is important, but it's not enough. We need to practice, and then following practice, we need to reflect on how we did, review our performance, and then feed our learnings back into our approach the next time we do that. You know, we often hear that phrase, practice makes perfect. But the reality is it's actually rubbish, because if you practice the wrong thing over and over and over again, you're not going to get better. You'll just get better at doing the wrong thing. In order to actually improve in any human endeavor, you need to practice and then combine that with a period or a process of reflection and review. And, you know, there's the scientific phrase for this is called deliberate practice. Which is really all about practicing and then being deliberate about the results. There's so many good examples of this, but I'd love to share one from the tennis world, given that we're, in the first week of the Australian Open, and at least in Melbourne, this is on people's minds. To get good at any endeavor.
Plus we were doubles partners back in our junior tennis days.
That's true. And
our tennis careers, we obviously practiced the wrong technique, because here we are talking, this stuff rather than playing tennis.
We're not on the tennis circuit. That's true. I was going to say I'm probably too old for the tennis circuit, but Roger Federer is still playing, isn't he?
He's old enough to be your son, John.
So, if we think about how to get good at something like, say, tennis, you obviously need to practice it over time. And, if you ever read Andre Agassi's biography, it's quite fascinating, right? Because he talks about his experience growing up. And when he was young, his father made him return 1,000 tennis balls a day. I believe he had a ball machine on his tennis court, and he was not allowed in for dinner until he'd returned and got in 1,000 balls. Now, some people might call that child abuse. I don't know, but he did that for about 10 years, from something like, 8 to 18 years old. And, in fact, to the extent where once he got to, his late teens, he actually decided to give away tennis, and he gave it away from me because he was so burnt out. He eventually, agreed to get back into it and, became number one and became the best return of serve probably in history. How did he do that? How did he become the best return of serve? Well, if you return 1,000 balls a day for 10 years, you're going to get pretty good. Now, obviously he needed some natural talent, but natural talent's not enough. And the interesting thing about, playing tennis is when you return a ball, you can see very clearly whether it goes in or not in most cases. And as a result, you can course correct. If your shot's not going in, you can make slight changes in order to improve it. If he never saw whether the ball went in, so he got no feedback and no ability to reflect and then change his approach next time, I'm not sure he would have been, as good as he was. But it's that practice combined with being able to see your results and then use that feedback to improve that really enables someone to achieve, incredible levels of performance in any area of their life. But, given I'm, a coach, I'm going to go into coaching mode. And
Yeah.
this is the part that you don't like, right? Where I put it onto you. So
But can we just delay that for one point? Like one idea, and I think we should have another chat around the practicing side of things, not the reviewing, but the practicing and like how to practice and how to choose, how to focus on what to practice. Another way that I heard that idea of, it's not practice makes perfect, it's practice makes permanent. So like you said, if you're practicing the right things, then that'll become more permanent within your habits or your behaviors or your life. Not necessarily perfect. No one can be perfect. You can only be the best that you can be. But yeah, anyway, just thought I'd add that in.
It's a helpful idea. So let me throw it to you for a second. What's an example in your life? Could be our business, could be a personal life, where you employ this idea and it helped you.
Okay, well, a very recent example last night, actually, let's talk about the personal side of things, is an email that I got from a teacher just about, one of our boys in school who's got an abundance of energy. We're just trying to, work with his energy and help focus his energy, in ways that is best for him long term. And you're just talking about before, like, if you keep doing things, but if you're not getting any feedback, and what I've found in terms of the parent-teacher relationship, at the end of the day, we feel, we're a team with the teachers. We're not just like handballing the kids off to school and that's it. You look after them and don't bother me. No, we're a team. We want the goal. We want the goal that, the child achieves their potential. So whilst there's parent-teacher meetings once, twice, 3 times a year, whenever it is, given that we have email and we have phone numbers, and our school's quite informal with that. We have direct emails and phone numbers for most teachers, and they're very open to have discussions. So I'm a big fan of keeping that dialogue going and checking in. How's our child progressing? And I feel that when the teacher sees that the parent cares, then they in a way give a bit more attention and focus to the child as well. On one hand, we don't want to micromanage the teacher or tell them exactly what to do. Again, this is a partnership, so just have to be conscious of that as well. We don't want to be one of those, what is it, helicopter parents or something like that. They keep on, we don't want that, but at least we want to get a bit of feedback. And see that we're focusing on the right things and reviewing how's the progress and coming up with ideas together. So that was like a recent example that I was thinking of. But
what about in the business context?
Yeah, so interestingly as well, it was yesterday with a discussion with a client discussing 2021 results and planning for 2022. One of the things he mentioned was that often, so we send monthly reports with commentary, not just a dashboard with KPIs and graphs and numbers. We actually put in human inputted content commentary to actually try and explain some of the results. And he was honest. He said, look, I generally don't read everything, or I read things very late. I generally try to see, what are the costs, what are the conversions, and are things generally going in the right direction? And so he was very honest. And the reality is that we know that. We know that for most business owners, we're business owners ourselves, all we are really focused on is, are we getting calls? Are we getting sales? And what's it costing? They're the main things that are on our minds. But, and we've had this debate internally, Joel, or this discussion, I should say, not a debate, like, do we, automate the process a bit more? But at the end of the day, what we found is that even writing the commentary, when a majority of our clients are not going to even read it, it's still important for us as managing their campaign and being trusted to manage their digital marketing asset, that we actually step back from the trenches of, tapping away at the computer and looking at the data. Take a step back and say, okay, well, are we heading in the direction? And that's where I feel that those monthly reports in a way forces us to step out of that sort of, in the trenches type situation and take a broader perspective to review where we're going, Are we going in the right direction? Are there any anomalies along the way? Is there anything that's, and without being forced to do that, would probably just settle into our normal ways and just keep tapping away. And then, months later, if you didn't do that commentary, if you didn't have that human input or focus, then you'd realize something. Wow, there was something that happened 2 or 3 months ago that we should have picked up on. Okay, I've worked in. Sorry.
Yeah, it's 6 months down the track. It's already
too late. The page is broken, or the tracking, it was deleted by a developer or something like that. These things happen all the time. And I've worked in a large agency where reporting was just set and forget. Create the report, it's a template, shoots out the email every month, right. No human input whatsoever. So the account manager is told, just manage more and more clients. There's no human interaction. There's no thought. There's no, what did you call it before? Like deliberate practice. Deliberate practice. You might call it here deliberate work. Yeah. So even though the clients generally don't read it and they might see it as, too much detail, it still helps us to focus on, improving things and being more responsive and adaptive to the changing situation. So, and at the end of the conversation, we had this discussion with a client yesterday, and so we asked him, do you want us to tone it down, write less commentary or not include as much data? And he actually said, no, keep it the way it is. I actually like it. I don't read it all, but I'm happy to keep it the way it's going. So hopefully that fits in with your idea.
It's a good example. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Happy to help.
And good luck, everyone, implementing this idea in your lives, both in your personal lives and your work lives. Thanks very much.
All the best. Thanks for listening.